My name is Carol Heater. I'm 29 years old, and for the last 2 years, I've been stashing away $20 bills, overtime bonuses, and the odd holiday gift card into a blue envelope I labeled Hawaii. I kept it taped under the bottom drawer of my dresser like a secret, my tiny rebellion against the way my life always seemed to be on call for everyone else. The night it happened, I'd just finished a 12-hour shift. My scrubs smelled like antiseptic and coffee, and my feet were buzzing from the kind of ache that doesn't stop when you sit. I dropped my bag on the couch and stared at the takeout sitting on the coffee table, cold and congealed, a luxury I'd promised myself after payday. My phone vibrated. Mom lit up the screen. I considered letting it ring out. I should have. Instead, I answered. Kathy's voice arrived breathless and trembling. Carol, are you home? Baby, I need you to listen. Please don't hang up. In the background, I caught the scrape of a chair, the hush of the TV. A familiar fear began creeping up my spine, that old reflex. Someone needs something. You are the emergency exit. What's wrong? I said. It's the house, she sobbed. We're 2 months behind on the mortgage. The bank started paperwork. They said if we don't pay by Friday. Her breath hitched theatrically. I can't lose this house, Carol. Dad's hours got cut again. Lily isn't handling it well. The lie was like perfume, suffocating, aggressively sweet. But I didn't know it was a lie yet. I only knew it smelled like panic. And when my mother panicked, I obeyed. How much? I asked, my voice already numb. She paused. It was the only honest sound she made. 8,700. I know, it's a lot. But that would catch us up and keep the lights on. We'd pay you back when the overtime kicks in. You know we would. The Hawaii envelope flashed in my mind. I pictured black volcanic sand, a sunrise that looks like it knows your name, the quiet click of a hotel door closing behind me, the silence of not being needed. Is this really what it's for? I asked. I needed her to say it. I needed the oath to be a bridge I could safely walk across. On everything, she swore. I would never lie to you about this, baby. There was a shuffle and a throat clear, a handoff. My father's voice, Greg, smoothed across the line, the practiced baritone he used for Sunday toasts. Thank you, honey. You're saving us. 3 seconds. That was all he gave me. 3 seconds to cancel 2 years of tiny, tender plans. I'll transfer it in the morning, I said. When I hung up, the room exhaled. The takeout container looked accusatory, my couch too soft under the weight of what I'd just agreed to. I texted my boyfriend, Evan. Hey, gotta help the folks out. Long story. Call you tomorrow? He called anyway. His voice is the kind that sounds like a hand on your shoulder. You okay? They're behind on the mortgage, I said. They need $8,700. If they don't pay, they'll lose the house. There was a small, careful silence. Do you have to be the solution alone? He asked. What about Lily? What about your brother? Lily's struggling, I parroted. And Brian, he's Brian. Carol, he said softly. They always seem to need you right when you finally do something for yourself. It's a pattern. I know. I did know. But knowing and stopping are not the same thing. It's just one trip. Is it? He asked, not unkindly. I swallowed. They're drowning. And what about you? He said. You ever notice the lifeguard is always the one underwater? I laughed, too tired for philosophy. I'll be fine. There'll be other trips. He knew better than to argue when I'd already decided. I'm here, he said. Whatever you need. The next morning, with hands that shook a little, I wired the money. The screen blinked its confirmation, and I stared at it long enough to make the numbers blur and braid. That was my blue envelope emptied in a single heartbeat. I told myself it was worth it. The house, the memory of birthday dinners, the echo of our family dog racing down those hardwood halls when we were kids. Nostalgia is tricky like that. It puts lace over rust. 6 days went by. Work, sleep, repeat. I waited for a text, a phone call, any ripple of gratitude. It didn't come. I rationalized their silence. Maybe they were ashamed. Maybe they were busy negotiating with the bank. Maybe heroism wasn't always applauded in real time. On the 6th evening, I poured laundry onto the living room rug and folded a white t-shirt that wasn't mine. I was imagining packing cubes, the weight of a new suitcase handle in my palm, pretending I hadn't given that future away, when a new message appeared. It was from Uncle Steve, the only person in my family who doesn't wear masks. Figured you hadn't seen this yet. You should. Below it, a screenshot. My thumb hovered. I don't know why I hesitated. Some part of me must have known that once I opened it, something would tilt and never click back into place. I tapped. It was Lily's Facebook album. Private, meaning I wasn't tagged. But the screenshot showed enough. The resort's glowing sign, infinity pool, the rim of the ocean pouring into a neon sky. There was my mother in a floral sundress, a lei draped across her neck like a punchline. My father with his arm around Lily, holding a drink with a tiny umbrella. Their teeth were very white. Their happiness was very loud. I stared, willing the photo to rearrange itself into something harmless. A conference? A borrowed backdrop? An old memory resurfaced by the algorithm. But the timestamp was fresh. The geotag had a name you only get to learn if you pay to learn it. I swiped. More photos. Spa robes. Seafood towers. A video of the three of them clinking glasses captioned family time. Then the group shot. My mother, my father, Lily, Lily's boyfriend, all lined up in the blue hour glow, eyes drunk on the warmth of it. The caption under that one was the kind that tries to sound flippant and lands like a blade. Vacation without loser. Everyone was tagged. Aunts, cousins, the neighbor Lily had known since middle school. Everyone except me. The word pulsed, neon and ugly. Loser. It wasn't clever. It wasn't even particularly cruel in a creative way. It was lazy, the way people are when they think no one will see the thing they really believe. My first feeling wasn't rage. It was weightlessness, like the floor had quietly moved a few inches down and my body hadn't caught up yet. I heard my mother crying in my ear again, the creak of her voice, the way she ran out of breath around the word mortgage. I heard my father's patient baritone. "You're saving us." My hands went cold. In the kitchen, the refrigerator motor kicked on. In the hallway, a neighbor laughed too loudly. Life continued with insultingly normal sounds. The world doesn't stop when yours does, it just gets louder. I set my phone face down and studied the laundry. I matched socks that didn't belong to each other and finally let myself sit with the obvious. The $8,700 hadn't saved a house. It had rented one by the ocean. Evan called. "Hey," he said. Nothing else. He must have heard it in my hello that something had broken. "They're in Hawaii," I said. My voice sounded like it had walked through a dust storm. "They used the money." He didn't rush to fill the silence. He let it stretch, humane and unafraid of grief. "I'm so sorry," he said. "What do you want to do?" I tried on the words scream, call them, drive over there. None fit. "Nothing," I said. But it wasn't the hollow kind of nothing. It felt precise. Like when a nurse swabs a spot on your arm and says, "You'll feel a little pinch," and then you do, and then you don't. I'm not going to give them the scene they want. I'm done being the soft place to land. "Okay," he said, "then we do this your way." After we hung up, I opened the screenshot again. The caption's letters were clean and sharp. Vacation without loser. It was arrogant in its confidence that I'd never see it. That confidence lit something inside me, a pilot light I didn't know I had. I thought of every time I'd been told I was so good to help, so selfless, like that was a personality and not a pattern people learn to exploit. I thought of the blue envelope, of the new suitcase leaning like a quiet promise in my closet, tags still on. I didn't cry, I didn't call, I didn't give them the spectacle. Instead, I got up, walked to my dresser, pulled the bottom drawer all the way out, and reached under the wood slat where the envelope used to live. My fingers found something cool and flat, a spare key, shaped like an answer. A memory unfolded. Last year, a 3:00 a.m. airport pickup when their car battery died. Dad had pressed the key into my palm and said, "Just in case." He'd never asked for it back. Their car, his pride and joy, would be home, sitting quietly on their driveway while they posed on a beach. My left eyebrow lifted on its own. I didn't yet know what I was going to do with that key, but I knew I was done letting their emergencies cancel my life. The thought didn't feel like revenge. It felt like balance. A new message arrived from Uncle Steve. "There's more you should see. Call me when you can." Then another. Screenshots attached. Might want to sit down. My pulse softened into something steady. I reached for the phone with both hands, bracing without quite knowing what for. I tapped the first image, and the screen opened like a curtain. The photos blurred together at first. Too much color, too much proof. My parents looked sun-kissed and carefree, sipping drinks that probably cost more than my weekly groceries. Lily was in every shot, always centered, always glowing. She'd written under one of the photos, "Finally, a break from stress. Family only." Family only. The phrase stung sharper than loser. I stared at their smiles until they stopped looking like people I knew. Until they just looked like shapes, liars, thieves, actors in matching Hawaiian shirts. When the first tear fell, it surprised me, not because I was crying, but because it was only one. After that, I couldn't cry again. My chest felt locked shut. Evan called right then, as if he could sense the moment something inside me had turned cold. "Did you talk to them yet?" he asked softly. "No," I said, scrolling through another photo of Lily posing with a cocktail and flashing peace signs. "They're still there. Beachfront suite, spa day, seafood dinners. They even tagged the resort." "Carol," his voice cracked slightly. "That's—" "I know," I said flatly. $8,700. My Hawaii trip. My year off the edge. Gone." There was a long pause, then Evan said, "So what are you going to do?" I looked around my tiny apartment. The laundry still half folded, the empty takeout container, the unopened suitcase I'd planned to pack next month. "I'm going to let them think they won," I said. "For now." "What do you mean?" "I mean," I said slowly, "they think I'll stay quiet. They think I'll swallow it like I always do." He hesitated. "And you're not going to?" I laughed once, short and humorless. "No, not this time." After the call, I sat in silence. Outside, it had started raining. Light, aimless drops against the window. The city's hum filled the spaces my thoughts couldn't. I replayed every word from that phone call 6 days ago. My mother's sniffles, my father's 5-second gratitude, how I'd believed every sound, every sigh. I remembered how quickly I'd transferred the money, how easily I'd convinced myself that helping them was love. Love shouldn't feel like debt. That night, I couldn't sleep. My mind kept circling the same thought. If they could lie so easily, what else had they lied about? The car? The inheritance from Grandpa? All the times they said they were barely scraping by? Around 3 a.m., I got up and went to the closet. The suitcase I'd bought for Hawaii was still in its box. I pulled it out and unzipped it. The tags were still attached. Inside the top pocket, I kept a folder of travel plans, flights, hotel confirmations, a list titled "Things I'll Do Alone." I stared at it until I realized my hands weren't shaking from sadness anymore. They were steady, like my body knew something my mind hadn't said out loud yet. The next morning, I messaged Uncle Steve. "I saw the photos, thanks for showing me." He replied within a minute. "You okay?" I typed, "Not yet, but I will be." He sent a thumbs up emoji, then another message. "They think you won't do anything. Don't prove them right." I smiled at that. Uncle Steve always had a way of lighting a match under the truth. By afternoon, my phone started buzzing again. A text from Lily. "Hey, sorry about the timing. We were so stressed. Needed a break. You'd understand if you weren't so uptight all the time." No apology, just a dig disguised as charm. I didn't reply. Instead, I scrolled through her story. Boomerangs of beach waves, cocktails, spa slippers. Then, a clip of her laughing as Mom said from behind the camera, "Finally, we can breathe again." That line made something in me click. That night, I took the spare car key from my dresser and turned it over in my hand. The metal felt heavier than I remembered. Last year, when Dad gave it to me at the airport, he said, "Just in case." Just in case of what? In case I ever needed a reminder that they trusted me? Or maybe in case they ever needed me to clean up after them again? Now it was my turn to use it, just in case. I checked the GPS app I'd used before when I picked them up from the airport. The address was still saved. Their house was empty. The car hadn't moved in 4 days. Perfect. I told myself I wasn't doing anything wrong. Technically, I wasn't. It was a family car. I had a key. I had access. Still, as I took the bus across town that night, a strange calm settled over me. I wasn't nervous. I wasn't scared. I felt deliberate, like a surgeon right before a precise incision. The neighborhood was quiet when I arrived. Porch lights glowed like half-asleep eyes. Their mailbox overflowed with junk mail. The car, Dad's pride and joy, a dark blue Honda Accord, sat exactly where I thought it would, gleaming under the streetlight. I approached it slowly, hearing my pulse sink with the soft hum of the crickets. I slid the key in. It turned without resistance. The engine came to life with a low growl. It felt poetic. I sat there for a moment, gripping the steering wheel, looking at the front door of the house I grew up in. I thought of every time I'd come running when they needed help, every time I'd been told I was so dependable. Maybe this was the first time that word meant something different. I backed out of the driveway and drove home. The next morning, Uncle Steve met me at the DMV. He looked at me over the counter and said, "You sure you want to do this?" "I'm not stealing," I said. "I'm taking back something they don't deserve." He nodded. "Good answer." He helped me file for a new title. There was a certain satisfaction in filling out those forms. Methodical, final. 3 days later, my phone exploded. First, Mom. "Carol, where's the car? Please tell me you didn't." Then Dad. "Unbelievable. Do you realize what you've done?" Then Lily. "WTF is wrong with you? That's theft." I ignored them all. I wanted them to sit with the same helplessness they'd given me. Hours later, my phone rang again. I answered this time. Mom's voice was shrill, trembling with fury. "You stole from us!" I said nothing. Dad's tone followed, low, calm, infuriating. "You've misunderstood, Carol. We never lied to you. That money was—" "For the mortgage?" I interrupted. "Yeah, I saw the mortgage. It had ocean views and complimentary cocktails." Silence, the kind that confirms guilt. I leaned back on the couch and smiled. "You're lucky, you know. All I took was the car." Then I hung up. That night, Lily posted an Instagram story. Black screen, white text. "Some people are jealous of happiness they can't have. Toxic much?" I took a screenshot and saved it. Not out of anger, out of principle. Evidence, in case I needed it later. They thought they'd humiliated me for good. But humiliation is funny. It can ferment into something much stronger. As I set my phone down, a strange peace washed over me. For the first time, the silence didn't feel like punishment. It felt like power. And deep down, I knew this was just the beginning. The morning after I hung up on them, the sky felt too blue, like it didn't know what kind of day it was supposed to be. I stood by the window, watching the sunlight crawl across my small apartment floor, and realized that something fundamental had shifted inside me. For the first time in years, I wasn't waiting for my phone to buzz. I wasn't anticipating a guilt trip or a fake emergency. My parents had taught me to live on standby, ready to rescue, to fix, to sacrifice. But now, silence was my rebellion. I made coffee, poured it into my favorite chipped mug, and scrolled through my notifications. 12 missed calls, 5 voicemails, 17 text messages from my mother alone. I didn't listen to a single one. Instead, I tapped open a message from Uncle Steve. "Heard the fireworks. You okay?" I sent back a photo of the blue Honda Accord parked neatly in my driveway. "Better than okay," he replied with a single line. "Now make them sweat." That made me laugh. An actual laugh, the kind that felt like oxygen returning to my lungs. By noon, I had a plan. The car wasn't just leverage, it was a symbol. Every polished inch of it screamed about what they valued most: appearances, status, and control. I wasn't taking revenge for the money, I was balancing the scales. Still, I needed to cover my bases, so I spent the afternoon filing paperwork, cleaning the interior, and documenting everything. If they wanted to drag me into court, I was ready. Evan came by after work. He leaned on the doorway, staring at the car with an unreadable expression. "So, this is what payback looks like," he said softly. "It's not payback," I corrected. "It's clarity." He chuckled. "You sound terrifying when you're calm." "Good," I said, sipping my coffee. "They've been terrifying me my whole life. Time they learned what it feels like." He hesitated. "Are you sure about this, Carol? Once you cross that line—" I cut him off gently. "Evan, they already crossed it when they stole from me and laughed about it. I'm just walking the path they paved." He looked at me for a long time, then nodded. "Then I'm on your side." When he left, I sat in the driver's seat of the car, running my fingers over the steering wheel. The faint smell of Dad's cologne clung to the air vents. It was strange, comforting and infuriating all at once. I thought about how he'd always been so proud of this car, the way he'd say, "You can tell a lot about a person by how they treat what they own." Maybe that's why this felt poetic, because he'd just learned that lesson the hard way. The next 2 days were quiet, too quiet, until the third morning, when my phone began buzzing nonstop. Mom again. "Carol, please call me back. You're scaring us." "This isn't you. You need help." Then Dad. "If you think this is funny, it's not. Return the car or we'll have to involve the police." Then Lily, predictable as ever. "You've officially lost it. Congrats. You're the family embarrassment again." I smiled faintly. The word again was the giveaway. They'd been saying that behind my back for years. I didn't reply. I went for a drive instead. The car handled beautifully, quiet and smooth. It was ironic how something they'd used to show off now gave me the freedom they'd always withheld. Later that night, as I parked in front of my apartment, Evan called. "They're losing it online," he said. "Your mom just posted something vague about ungrateful children and family betrayal." "Good," I said simply. He hesitated. "So what's next?" I looked at the car reflected in the streetlight, its metallic blue glinting like a secret. "Next," I said, "I let them marinate in their own lies." And that's exactly what I did. For 2 days, I ignored every message, every guilt-laden voicemail. I let the panic ferment until it turned into desperation. When I finally picked up their call, it was because I wanted to hear the fear in their voices. "Carol!" Mom's voice cracked through the line, raw and shrill. "What are you doing? Do you have any idea how cruel this is?" "Cruel?" I repeated, my tone calm. "You mean like tricking your daughter into wiring her entire savings for a fake mortgage? Or like laughing about it online while calling her a loser?" Her breath caught. How did you—" "I saw everything," I said quietly. "You didn't even try to hide it. You thought I'd never find out, didn't you?" Silence. Then Dad took over, his voice tight but composed. "Carol, we understand you're upset. But this is a misunderstanding. You've taken it too far." I laughed. It wasn't bitter. It was almost amused. "A misunderstanding? You stole from me. You lied. And now you're upset that I took a car? Consider it collateral." "Collateral?" Mom shrieked. "That's theft. You could what?" I interrupted. "Report me? Go ahead. Tell the police you lied to your daughter to fund a vacation. Tell them you posted about it online while pretending to be broke. See how that works out." For a long moment, all I could hear was my mother's breathing. Short, uneven, scared. "Carol," Dad said finally, his voice trembling beneath the surface, "we didn't mean to hurt you." "Of course you didn't," I said softly. "You never do. You just mean to take." And I hung up. Afterward, the quiet in my apartment was almost holy. That evening, Lily posted another story. A black background, white text, dramatic as always. "Fake family members love playing victim. Wait till karma gets them." I didn't respond, but I did take another screenshot. Receipts were power now. Then Uncle Steve texted, "They're spinning the story. Said you're unstable. Be ready." "Good," I replied. "Let them talk. The truth always sounds crazy to liars." He sent a laughing emoji. For the first time in years, I slept without my phone on my nightstand. No alarms, no messages, no guilt. The next morning, sunlight spilled across my room, landing on the Honda key, resting on my dresser. I picked it up, twirled it once between my fingers, and smiled. They wanted to teach me a lesson about loyalty. I was about to teach them one about consequences. The next few days passed like a lull before a storm. My parents had gone silent. No texts, no calls, not even a guilt-drenched voicemail. That kind of silence from them wasn't peace. It was plotting. I'd learned that lesson years ago. When my mother went quiet, it meant she was writing a script. When my father stopped calling, it meant he was waiting for a stage. So while they rehearsed, I gathered my props. It started with a notebook. I sat at my kitchen table one night, a cup of coffee cooling beside me, and wrote the heading in neat block letters: Family Transactions. Below it, I began listing every time they had borrowed money, every fake emergency, every guilt trip dressed as a moral duty. Dates, amounts, excuses. At first, the list looked small, almost harmless. Then it grew. $1,200. Dad's car repairs, used for Lily's birthday trip to Miami. $900. Mom's medical bill. Later saw her wearing a new gold bracelet. $3,000. Lily's textbooks. Actually paid off Dad's poker debt. $2,500. Home repairs. Became the backyard patio for Lily's boyfriend's party. By the time I reached the bottom of the page, the number totaled over $20,000, and every single penny had been justified with one phrase: "Your family, you understand." I leaned back in my chair, feeling the kind of exhaustion that isn't physical, the kind that builds after years of being someone else's solution. Evan dropped by later that evening with takeout. He took one look at my notes and raised an eyebrow. "Wow," he said softly. "It's like a crime scene, only the murder weapon is guilt." "That's exactly what it is," I said. "Emotional embezzlement." He studied my face. "You're not just making a list, are you?" I smiled faintly. "No, I'm writing their confession for them." He exhaled. "You're really going to expose them?" They expose themselves, I said, flipping to the next page. I'm just making sure the world sees it. The next morning, I turned my notes into digital proof, screenshots of text messages, email receipts, even my old transfer confirmations. It was tedious work, organizing years of evidence, but it felt like finally putting chaos into order. Every time I dragged a file into the folder labeled receipts, I felt lighter. By noon, the folder was full. I drafted a message, calm, factual, no insults, no emotion, just truth. To Mom, Dad, Lily. Subject, accountability. You lied to me about the mortgage. You used my savings for your vacation. You called me a loser. I have every screenshot, bank transfer, and message to prove it. I'm giving you one chance to make it right, publicly. Admit the truth on Facebook, where you mocked me. Tell the truth to the same people you lied to, or I'll do it for you. You have 24 hours. Carol. I hit send and closed my laptop. For the rest of the day, my phone sat face down. No scrolling, no waiting. I cooked dinner, watered my plants, went for a walk. The world outside was still turning. Around 9 p.m., the phone finally rang. Mom's voice was trembling, but it wasn't her usual performance kind of trembling. It was real. Carol, please, you can't do this. People will think we're monsters. Maybe, I said. Or maybe they'll see you as human beings who made a mistake and owned up to it. You don't understand, she cried. Your father could lose his job. Lily. We'll be fine, I cut in. She's always fine. Please, honey, Mom whispered. What do you want from us? The truth, I said simply, out loud. She sobbed harder. We can't. People won't understand. That's not my problem anymore. I hung up before she could answer. A few minutes later, my phone buzzed again. This time, a message from Lily. Wow, blackmailing your own family now? You're seriously unhinged, Carol. You need therapy. I stared at the message, my pulse steady. She wanted me angry. She wanted me to blow up so she could screenshot it and play the victim again. Instead, I typed one line back. You first. And blocked her. That night, Uncle Steve called. You really did it, huh? He said, chuckling softly. You gave them the ultimatum. I'm done being their doormat, I said. I gave them a chance. What they do with it is up to them. He was quiet for a moment. Then, you know they'll try to spin this. They always do. I know, I said. That's why I'm ready. The next morning, I woke to a family group chat notification, a chat I'd muted months ago. Normally, it was filled with birthday reminders and chain messages. But today, it had one new message from my mother. A paragraph. No, a manifesto. We are heartbroken. Carol has taken things out of context and refuses to speak to us directly. We love her deeply, but she's become unstable and is refusing to return our vehicle. Please pray for her mental health during this difficult time. There it was. The playbook. Twist the story, control the narrative, make the truth look like madness. My hands shook, not with fear, but with adrenaline. I didn't even have to reply, because 30 seconds later, Uncle Steve did. Kathy, you sure you want to lie like that in a group chat? I've seen the receipts. Then, one by one, he dropped the screenshots. The Facebook photos, the vacation without loser post, the bank transfer with my name on it. The group chat exploded. Aunts, cousins, old family friends. Messages started flying. Wait, so the money wasn't for the mortgage. Kathy, are you serious right now? Is that where my $3,000 went? This is disgusting. Mom tried to backpedal. It was a misunderstanding. But it was too late. The dominoes had fallen, and I hadn't even touched my final move yet. It was like watching an avalanche in slow motion. Once it started, there was no stopping it. The family group chat, normally a digital wasteland of birthday emojis and good morning, family messages, had become a war zone. Uncle Steve's screenshots detonated everything. The photo of Lily holding her drink with the caption, Vacation without loser. The bank transfer confirmation with my name clearly visible. My mom's frantic, we're drowning texts from that night. Within minutes, the chat had over 60 unread messages. Aunt Sandra, so this is what you meant when you said you needed help with the house, Kathy. Cousin Mia, you borrowed $3,000 from me that same week. Uncle Mark, wow, just wow. My mom tried to take control, typing so fast her messages came in bursts. Everyone needs to calm down. This is a family matter. We don't need outsiders judging. Outsiders. That word burned. Family was convenient to her, something to summon when she needed cash, but discard when accountability arrived. Then Lily left the chat. No explanation, no apology, just a silent exit bubble that said more than words ever could. Dad stayed quiet through it all, which was his specialty, let the women handle the emotions while he stayed above it. He'd always been a man of silence, except when he was spinning it into control. I didn't type a word. I just watched. Watched the family start connecting dots I'd been too scared to connect myself. Uncle Steve messaged privately. You seeing this? Oh, I'm watching, I replied. He sent a thumbs up emoji. Then something unexpected happened. Brian texted me. Carol, I didn't know. I swear I didn't. Didn't know what? I typed. Mom told me you were donating money. Said you didn't even like to travel. I thought you wanted to help them. For a moment, I just stared at the message. My throat felt tight, not from anger this time, but from a kind of grief I hadn't expected. They lied to you too, I finally replied, but now you know. There was a long pause. Then, I believe you, I'm sorry. The chat kept exploding. People demanded explanations. My mom tried to play victim, writing long, melodramatic paragraphs about being misunderstood. Aunt Sandra wasn't having it. Misunderstood? You called your daughter a loser and took her savings. You're lucky she didn't press charges. Every unread message was another crack in their image. Every screenshot was another nail in the coffin of the family myth they'd spent years curating. The Georges, the respectable, church-going, we stick together kind of clan. That illusion was gone now, replaced by something raw, something real. By evening, the chat had gone eerily quiet. No new messages for hours. Just the lingering weight of exposed truth. Then Brian sent one more text, this time to the whole group. Carol didn't lie. Mom, Dad, she showed receipts. Stop pretending. It was short, simple, but it landed like thunder. Mom finally replied, her words brittle and shaking. We made a mistake, but she didn't have to humiliate us. And there it was, the pivot. Not apology, but self-pity, the performance I knew too well. I typed my first message of the day. You humiliated yourselves when you lied. I just stopped covering it. No one replied. Uncle Steve reacted with a single clap emoji. For the next hour, no one dared type another word. I thought it was over. I thought maybe the silence meant it had sunk in, that maybe, just maybe, they would reflect. But I underestimated how far they would go to control the story. The next morning, I woke to missed calls from friends and coworkers. My name was trending in a local Facebook community group. Someone had posted screenshots of my mom's new post. Our daughter has been struggling mentally for years. We've done everything we can, but she's lashed out and spread false accusations. Please pray for her recovery. I sat there in disbelief. They were doing it again, rewriting reality, playing the sympathy card for likes. But this time, they weren't up against the old Carol. I messaged Uncle Steve. They went public. He replied immediately. Then it's your turn. I didn't even hesitate. That afternoon, I posted my version. Calm, factual, undeniable. I attached every screenshot, every transfer record, every vacation photo. No insults, no ranting, just truth. Caption. My parents told me their mortgage was overdue and begged for $8,700. I sent it, my entire savings. A week later, I found these photos. They called me a loser. Here's what really happened. I hit post. Within hours, the shares exploded. Hundreds of comments. Strangers expressing outrage. Old friends reaching out. Family members apologizing for believing the lies. Even people from my childhood neighborhood commented things like, "We always wondered why Carol was treated differently. This family drama makes sense now." By nightfall, my parents' profiles went private. Lily deactivated her account. Brian texted again. They're freaking out. Dad said you destroyed the family name. No, I replied. They destroyed it when they chose deceit over decency. He didn't argue. Later that evening, Evan stopped by. He brought ice cream and sat quietly beside me while I scrolled through the avalanche of comments. Do you feel better? He asked. I thought about it. Not better, I said, but lighter. The truth is heavier when you carry it alone. He nodded. They can't rewrite it now. You wrote it down first. I smiled at that, because he was right. The narrative wasn't theirs anymore. It was mine. And for the first time, my silence wasn't submission. It was peace earned. By the next morning, my post had gone viral. Not celebrity viral, but the kind that ripples through your world and leaves nothing untouched. Hundreds of comments flooded in overnight. Some were from old classmates, others from coworkers, many from complete strangers who wrote things like, I lived this too. Family doesn't give you the right to lie. You did the right thing, Carol. For the first time, I realized how many people had been walking around with the same scars I'd tried to hide. Meanwhile, my family went into full lockdown. Mom and Dad deleted their Facebook profiles entirely. Lily's Instagram disappeared. The house phone went straight to voicemail. Brian, though, he didn't vanish. He came to see me. He showed up at my door looking like someone who'd just walked out of a storm. Tired eyes, rumpled shirt, guilt hanging off him like a wet coat. "Can I come in?" he asked. I hesitated for a moment before nodding. He stepped inside, glancing around my apartment like he was seeing a different world, one that didn't orbit around our parents. "They're not doing great," he said finally. "Dad's furious. Mom's been crying nonstop." I crossed my arms. "They should be. They earned it." He sighed. "They keep saying you went too far, that you made them look bad." I laughed softly, bitterly. They made themselves look bad. I just turned on the lights. He didn't argue. He sank onto the couch, running his hands over his face. "They told me to convince you to delete the post. Said if you took it down, maybe the family could move past it." I sat down across from him. "Move past it?" "Brian, they stole from me. Lied to everyone. Humiliated me. And when they got caught, they tried to call me unstable." "I know," he said quietly. "That's why I didn't tell them I was coming." That stopped me. He looked up, his eyes wet. "You were right about everything. About the favoritism. About how they used you. I just didn't want to see it." For a moment, neither of us spoke. The sound of traffic outside filled the silence. Then he said something I'll never forget. "They're scared of you now." I tilted my head. "Good." He nodded slowly. "They should be." We sat there for a while, two grown siblings, finally seeing the same truth from opposite sides of the wreckage. When he left, he hugged me. It wasn't an apology, it was acknowledgement. That night, I sold the car. 10,000 flat, cash. I counted the bills, slid them into a new envelope, and labeled it Hawaii, Take 2. When I told Evan, he grinned. "Full circle," he said. "Not quite," I replied. "This time, I'm not telling anyone where I'm going." And I meant it. 2 weeks later, I booked my solo trip. Direct flight, ocean view Airbnb, no family posts, no check-ins, just me. The morning I left, I stood by the window of my apartment, suitcase by my side, and watched the sunrise pour through the blinds. For the first time in years, the silence didn't feel heavy. It felt earned. On the plane, I finally opened the last unopened letter in my bag, one from Grandma. She'd mailed it a week after the fallout, the handwriting a little shaky, but unmistakably hers. "Dear Carol, I saw everything. I don't need to know the details to know you were right. Your heart's always been too generous for people who mistook it for weakness. They don't deserve your silence anymore. You've carried their shame long enough. I'm proud of you for finally putting it down. Go see the world, sweetheart. Let the ocean wash away what they left behind. Love, Grandma." I folded the letter back carefully, the words settling in like a balm I didn't know I needed. When I landed in Hawaii, the air was warm and soft, the kind that wraps around you like forgiveness. I walked along the beach that first evening, barefoot in the sand, and watched the sun melt into the horizon. I thought about everything that had led me there, the lies, the guilt, the betrayal, and how, somehow, all of it had delivered me to this exact moment. My parents lost their version of me, the obedient daughter, the quiet savior, the one who always fixed things. What they didn't realize was that in losing her, I'd found myself. As the waves rolled in, I whispered something I hadn't said aloud in years. I'm not the loser. And for once, there was no one left to argue.